All right, guys, this week for the practice round, we're going to be in Nokia, Finland at the Beast. I'm going to show you how to get ready, get prepared for my first major of the year and the tour's second major. Let's get into it. All right, so hole one here, we have a little bit of a left to right crosswind. So I'm going to throw a harp first. That's probably the best choice. And then my secondary choice is probably going to be my dagger. That was a better one. So as you see, hole one here, we got a pretty sloped green, and a lot of discs like to filter down here. So I'm naturally going to putt from where I have the highest percentage to land in the tournament. So I'm going to go down here and take a couple putts down here. This is a very common spot to land, so I'll kind of putt from here. So yeah, putt from here. My dagger landed right there, so I parked it. And but even for a practice, I'm not necessarily going to putt exactly where my disc lands. I'm just going to putt from an area where I have the highest percentage to land, so I feel comfortable with that putt in the tournament. All right, hole two, 381-foot par 3. We got OB down the left-hand side. We got OB on the right. This is a tricky hole. Definitely going to be a forehand. I'm going to be throwing my Silver Lot Series Rive. I'm going to be throwing forehand. And the biggest factor on this hole is you want to hang your disc out over the OB, kind of trust it, knowing that your disc is going to fade back to the right. And yeah, the green's pretty wide, but it's all about the drive on this hole, getting yourself a putt, getting yourself a look at birdie. Sweet. So I threw that one nice and high. Got it high up over the OB. That's kind of what you want to do. Start your disc over the OB and trust that it's going to come back. The higher you throw it, the more of a chance it has to come back in safe. So I'll try one more, throw a similar shot. All right, cool. That first one was money. That brings us up to the green. Most of the challenge is not necessarily on the green, but it's on the fairway with the out of bounds. But this is a common collection spot when you throw a good shot to be 25, 30 feet away. I'm going to practice this wind. We got a little bit of a headwind, so I'm going to putt from here and see how my putt reacts in the headwind. Brings us to hole three, 862-foot par 5. We got OB on both sides, and we got a challenging tee shot. You got to clear about 430 feet, I would say, off the tee to get to the landing zone. If you don't, you're probably going to take a big number. So the tee shot's super important. I'm going to throw a forehand. We got a left to right wind. So the wind on this hole dictates what I would be throwing. The forehand with the left to right wind is a helping wind for the forehand, kind of a hurting wind for the backhand. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the forehand on this hole, trying to play about a 440, 450 foot shot to get to the inbounds zone. All right, I'm gonna go with the Silver Lot Rive again. Like I said, I'm gonna focus on throwing it high over the out of bounds and make sure my disc is high the whole way. Throwing a little bit of flex on it, try to carry it inbounds. Let's do it. Try one more. I'm just going to throw one backhand. In the backhand, I'm going to throw the fusion orbit and force it. We got way far down there, but as you can see, it's a little squirrely in that crosswind. You never know when it's going to stop pushing to the right. So the forehand's a safer play, higher percentage. Through the drive, walking up the fairway right now, and just reflecting on this hole. and I've got a lot of reps in on this hole, and I see what happens a lot. And it's really easy to take a big number on this par 5. It's short, but lots of OB, and you really want to just play it safe and focus on getting that birdie and eliminating that big number. I'm going to show you guys the tree that was my aiming point from that shot. Here's the tree. You can see there's a lot of roots, but I'm really trying to hit on the right side of the tree because there's not as many roots over there, and that would give me a good skip. I hit on the left side and kind of got a bad skip, so I'm taking that into account when I'm playing my practice round here, so I can dial in my shot and know where I'm going to get the best ground play to get up there for a putt. All right, that brings us to the third shot. I have a putt for eagle, but complete death behind it. If this was a tournament, it's definitely a layup, but for right now, I'm going to go for it and try to show you guys an eagle. Oh, see, I missed that, and that putter probably went out of bounds. That's why I would normally lay up in the tournament, but right now I'm going to try to make it again. Oh, too high. But yeah, now you can see, obviously I took 3 putts, got some weird wind lifts, and that's exactly why I would lay up in the tournament, because you never know from this far what your putter's going to do. As you guys can see, this green slopes a lot behind it, and the sweet spot's going to be short, about 20 feet. That's why you saw me putting from there. That's where a lot of my aiming points are going to be, whether it's from my first shot or second shot, trying to get up and down for a birdie. All right, hole 4, 610 foot par 4. This is probably the toughest tee shot on the course. Lots of trees. We got an OB road on the right-hand side, and we got a lot of early trees. So I'm gonna be throwing the forehand. I normally throw a roller, but it's so windy out today that I'm gonna have to change my play up a little bit and go with the forehand. I can't get as far down there, but I feel more comfortable in the wind hitting this gap with the forehand. I'm gonna throw some more rives. We got a right to left wind, so it's naturally gonna wanna push my disc far to the right. So I'm gonna have to aim at this middle tree to get my disc to the wind to hit it and kind of push it left of it once it gets down the fairway. So let's do it here. Oh, holy crap. So you saw my disc, the wind hit my disc a lot, turned it way over. So I'm gonna go with my little bit more stable ride. We've got a lot stronger wind than I thought, and see if that reacts better in the wind. So that was way better. See how I just passed that tree? Got down there, that's a great spot. So I just made the adjustment. I threw my straighter rive and it got turned over, threw my more overstable rive, and it kind of hit the gap better. So let's try one more to try and dial this gap in. Oh, hit that last tree. But as you can see, once this gets out there, the wind really wants to turn it over. So I'm really paying attention to that in this practice round, so I can make the adjustment for the tournament. As you guys can see, I'm playing to certain spots in the fairway, certain spots on the green, and once I get to those spots, I take a lot of putts or I take a lot of upshots. And like I said, I'm just doing that because I want to make sure I play from the spots where I most commonly am going to land in the tournament. So that's something you'll see. I'm not necessarily playing from where my shot lands. I'm playing from a general area to dial that in and develop some good muscle memory, distance control, how the disc hit on the slopes, all that kind of stuff from certain spots on the fairways and greens. All right, so that takes us to the second shot. The second shot collection area where I'm trying to land is probably like a 30-foot circle from where I'm standing. So I'm gonna stand here and throw some upshots because this is right where I'm trying to land and right where I land a lot when I play this hole. So I'm gonna throw some upshots from here. The upshot's tricky. We've got a right to left slope green. So you really wanna make sure to hit high right on the hill because the disc naturally is gonna wanna come back left. And so let's give this one a shot. I'll throw a justice on the first one and a harp on the second shot. See how my disc reacts on this hill. So I hit high on the hill like that. It's going to naturally want to, you can see how it kind of naturally wanted to come back left. So I'm going to try a harp again. Try a similar shot. I'll do it a little bit wide and watch, you'll see it's going to naturally want to go left. See at the end it kind of trickled left. It's still a good shot. I have a putt, but I want to be aware of that slope. see the wind's really messing with putts right now. This green really is very likely to roll away if you miss. So yeah, pretty tricky green, pretty tricky upshot on this one. I'm also going to putt some from down in this part, the left side of the green, because the green sloped like this. So a lot of discs naturally want to trickle down here. So this is going to be a common spot to land. So I'm definitely going to dial this putt in as well. Very common spot to land. So yeah, you can see this green is very tough, lots of slope. Disc naturally gonna wanna go down there, give you the uphill tough putt. That's hole 4. All right, hole 5, 328 foot, par 3, and it's a tricky green. Lots of right to left slope. On this green, I'm gonna throw a forehand if it seems to fit the green and fit the slope so that I don't get a roll away. I'm gonna go with the harp. And we also have a crosswind that's naturally gonna wanna push your disc to the left. So a lot of stuff is working left. You got the hill, you got the wind. So you really have to counter it by putting hyzer on it and making sure that you try to hit with the hill instead of against it. So I do it with hyzer. It's gonna go out straight, hopefully skip straight. Oh, I hit the tree. But right where I landed there, actually there's a very solid collection zone. I think I've landed there probably 4 out of the last 5 times I've played this hole. So I'm gonna go up there where I landed and kind of putt in that 20-foot circle, dial that zone in, dial that distance so I can make that putt in the tournament. So at the one more, it's also gonna be a harp. So I'm gonna release with hyzer and let the wind kind of turn it like that first one did as well. See how it hit nice and flat and skipped straight. So it had hyzer on it like it was gonna skip right, but the hill just kept it going straight. So you gotta pay attention to the ground reaction when you got side slopes like this. All right, that brings us up to the drive. The collection spot on the drive is right here. We got a lot of guardian trees. We got a little cement barrier right here. So a lot of shots are coming into the green, hitting this and dropping. So this is exactly where I'm gonna putt. So that way I can really just develop some muscle memory for how this putt feels. So let's do it. So yeah, collection spot, putt on the par 3s, that's kind of the name of the game. I just try to throw to that spot, dial in this putt, and then I feel super confident come to the tournament time to hit these spots. All right, so my drive landed right here. It landed a little bit past the collection zone, but it's a shorter putt, so I'd always like to practice a little bit further back. If I get closer, that's always great, but I want to make sure to practice the harder putt during practice. All right, so this practice round's a little different so far. As you guys see, I'm throwing to certain spots on the par 4s into collection zones where I want to land and collection zones on the green. I'm not necessarily playing out my shots, and that's exactly how I like to practice. And I just want to I'm glad you guys are paying attention and seeing how I can practice. Hopefully you can take something from this, change your practice routine, maybe make you better. But in the meantime, we're out here at hole 6. We got amazing views, and it makes me want to jump in the ice bath, that's for sure. All right, we got hole 6, 328 foot, par 3. This hole's tricky. We got a tight, narrow, probably the tightest tee shot yet as far as par 3s go. It's uphill. We got a lot of guardian trees. We got kind of a dead tree right off the bat on the left side that kind of tricks your mind into wanting to pull it right. But gravity's going up, so your disc is naturally going to want to go more overstable than you think. So you got to take that into account when you're choosing your disc. I'm going to go with a forehand, maybe try a couple forehands, and also a couple backhand, trust, and a compass. So that looks really good. Right down the gap, should hit the hill. Give me a putt. So I went a little deep with that one. This one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it a little lower. I threw that one high and was able to skip past the basket. This one I'm going to try to throw it lower and play it into the hill so that way it takes off a little bit of speed. So a little lower. Turn that one a little bit. So that one I turned a little bit, but so you couldn't see the ground play, but change the line to a little bit lower, and that can affect how much you're skipping once you get up towards the green. So yeah, this green slopes from low to high as the basket sits on kind of a top of a little slope. I went a little bit right, hyzered my forehand out, got to open about 35 footer. Also, this is another type of hole where I feel comfortable throwing a faster speed disc. Yeah, I can throw a drive about 450, but if I throw it fast, I feel comfortable getting through the gap, making sure I'm all the way through the gap, and as opposed to throwing a slower disc and maybe having a chance to hit a tree, the fast disc is going to get through the gap quicker and get myself down here on the green and see how we go. So good. Three for three. So I'm feeling that putt. Like I said, the driver skipped a little bit, but at least I hit the narrow gap and got myself an opportunity to capitalize. All right, hole 7, 606 foot par 4, tight alley, another left to right sloped green, fairway and green. So a lot of slopes out here, but you really want to focus on hitting this first tunnel. You want to hit with hyzer because the natural reaction of the disc is going to be to go right with the hill. So I'm going to throw a natural hyzer flip, try to land flat, and use that hill to kind of fade me and skip me back to the right. So I'm throwing a forcer, fusion orbit forcer on the first one. We got a little bit of left to right pushing wind as well. So a lot of stuff is working this way, the hill and the wind. So this is naturally going to want to push that way a lot. So I'm going to counter it by putting a lot of hyzer on it. Didn't turn it quite enough. I'm going to try one more. He's not turning. Throw a slower speed disc, just try to hit the gap here. Alright, so I missed the gap a lot, so I'm going to go try to practice a scramble shot on this hole. My first shot, I hit the tree and kind of dropped over here. So this hole is the type of hole where it's a hard tee shot, so I don't mind scrambling on this because it could happen. I could miss the gap, and obviously I'm struggling with this gap, so I'm going to come back in my next couple practice rounds and throw a bunch to get this one dialed in. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and try to save the par and throw a good shot on this next one. So you got a weird uphill run up, which is really tough. It makes your timing weird, and your hips don't want to rotate as much, so you really got to focus on doing that. I'm going to try to throw just kind of by the camera guys up there. Oh, so a little bit, it's fine. I'm in the spot where you want to throw your drive, but since I hit early, I'm just trying to get up and down from that spot instead of for my birdie. I'm going to try to get a par. So this is a great spot to practice from because this is actually where I a lot of times throw the drive. If I hit the gap clean and skip left, this is kind of where I land. So I happen to throw my second shot here since I'm scrambling trying to save par. But so it's a good practice whether I'm trying to save par or get a birdie. So I'm going to throw a couple shots from here. We got a tough shot. We got low ceiling, but we also got a low green, and we got a lot of skip action up there. This are really fast green. I'm going to throw kind of a soft dagger. Just focus on hitting the gap with a little bit of speed, but not too much. Just like that. That's going to slide right up there to the basket. Oh, so you see how short I hit, and about 30 or 40 feet short, and kind of skip straight. So I don't want to land at the basket, otherwise I'm going to skip down the hill. So same thing on this one. Focus on the speed control. Hit about 30 to 40 short and slide up to it. I was a little shorter, but it's still going to skip up there. So I hit about 40 to 50 feet short, and it still skipped up there. I just didn't hit my landing zone, but I still got a putt on each one of them. So I'm up here on the green, and here's Circle's Edge here. About 10 feet short of Circle's Edge is where it changes from grass to dirt, and that's why you're seeing my disc skip so much. So I'm paying attention to that on the upshot. Now I take a mental note when I come up to here to hole 7. I know I want to land about 40 feet short because this fast green is going to, trickle it to the basket. So I'm paying attention to that. I'm putting from long back here because, like I said, the fast green is going to take your disc longer than you want a lot of times. And so I want to be prepared for that putt when I have it in the tournament. All right, hole 8, 236 foot par 3. We got an uphill, we got hay bale short, so it's going to prevent the skip. So you got to focus on the starting point of your disc being high because you're not going to be able to get ground play. It's more just playing lawn darts with the basket, throw it high and stall it, and try to hit right where you plan on landing because those hay bales prevent you from skipping in. So I'm going to go with 2 daggers on this hole just to try them out. I would normally throw a slammer, but it's a lot of right to left, and the slammer likes to skip and get affected by the wind a lot when there's a crosswind. So I feel like the right to left wind, the dagger handles that better for this shot. So let's take a couple. So hit a limb. Hit that limb a little bit on this one, so I'm going to throw it a little bit harder and a little bit further right. So I'll hit that tree. There we go. That's better. Oh, I hit another tree. I'm gonna try the harp on this. So I'll try the harp shot on this hole. There we go. That's way better. That's got past the hay bales, skipped up to the green, and that's the play. All right, so this hole I landed past the hay bales and skipped up to about 20 feet away. This one should be very birdieable for all the top players, and I'm gonna take a putt from here. You should be able to throw this one inside not only 30 feet, but you should be able to throw it inside 20 feet every round. That's hole 8. All right, hole 9 is a 338-foot par 3. You're gonna see a lot of forehands. That's what I'm gonna do. Seems like the bigger gap. We got a side hill to the left of the basket, to where when your forehand's coming in, if you go too straight, you hit the side hill and don't skip. But then if you go right of the side hill, you skip a lot. So fine line between a good shot and a bad shot, a mediocre shot, I should say. And I'm gonna try to find that good shot here and try to trickle my way off that hill towards the green. All right, the first disc I'm gonna throw is Lucid Criminal. So I'm gonna go with that. It's pretty windy, so this will be able to handle the wind pretty good. I did that one too straight and hit the hill and didn't skip, so this one I'm gonna make the adjustment here. That seems way better. Should be up there about circle's edge. Probably one more. Just focus on keeping that hyzer and letting the crosswind kind of push it back towards the basket. As you can see, it's super windy out here, affecting this a lot. So I just got shoved right. But I'm gonna go up there and putt from where my second shot landed in the sweet spot. So it brings us up towards the green. And as you can see, the long grass on this hill makes it so your disc is not gonna wanna skip back right on the forehand line. But if you hit a little bit further right, you can see the grass is a lot shorter, not as much of a slope, and you're gonna feed towards the basket like I did on this blue hope shot that got me inside the green. So those are the things I'm thinking about. Try and hit on the right angle, on the right side of this hill to give me the good ground play towards the basket. So my disc landed right there about 20 feet short, but I'm gonna step back here to about 33 feet or so and practice some headwind putts, because this is right where a lot of the sidearms off that hill like to feed over to this way. So I'm gonna have to spin putt because we got enough wind to where my regular putt won't work as well. There we go, we got a good set. And as you can see, I'm also changing my putt, practicing my different putts into different winds. Because if I have a wind, I like to putt nose down, and the headwind really going to shove it down, versus the spin putt's a little flatter, a little better in the wind. So I have both options. I got my high to low putt for the tailwinds, and I got my spin putt for the headwind. Okay. All right, that brings us to hole 10, par 4, 755 feet. We got a lot of interesting dynamics going on here. We got two different winds. We got the first probably 200 or 300 feet blowing right to left, and then the second 200 or 300 feet is blowing left to right. So we got two different winds. That makes it tough, but you can see on camera the trees up there are going a different direction than these trees. So I'm taking mental notes of that, and I'm gonna be throwing a couple enforcers. We got OB, a dog leg that goes left. I want to throw about a 450-foot shot just past this dirt landing zone, and then throw a second shot about 200 to 300 feet. So I'm gonna try to throw a shot over that dirt spot and kind of fade a little bit left. So I'm going over the dirt spot like I said. Go over the dirt spot and fade left, right where I want to go. So I know that's a great spot. That's right where I'm trying to land. So we got to the landing zone here on hole 10. I went over that dirt spot over there and faded back to this spot. I would say we have about 250 or so. So I'm gonna go with my Lucid Ice Glimmer Felons, and I'm gonna throw a nice hyzer. We got OB on the right hand side. We got a nice headwind, so it's gonna hold it straight. So I'm gonna throw a hyzer kind of right at the basket, knowing the wind's gonna keep it from hyzering, and just kind of hopefully drop on the basket. Yeah, so that's really good. So I hit and rolled, but there's there's a hay bale up there that allows you to hit the hay bale instead of going OB. You throw it the right distance. So distance control is key on this one. That's another good one. I like it. So it kind of hit, just stuck right there. So forced her off the tee and fell into the green. Should give me a birdie. Got a really windy hole here. We've got lots of out of bounds. Very tricky. I was able to keep my first drive inbounds and play a good clean hole, but this hole can bite you. So I'm glad I'm practicing in the wind to see how my discs are reacting with all these different winds going on. All right, so I'm gonna take some putts from right around this hay bale. A lot of discs like to hyzer and roll into the hay bale, so this is a common spot to land. So I'm gonna just go ahead and putt a couple putts from here. So there you go. That's how you throw hole 10. All right, hole 11, 429 foot par 3. We got a pond about 35 to 40 feet short right. We got OB left, a lot of variables. We got a pretty ripping head left to right wind, so it's not the greatest wind. But I'm gonna go with a couple enforcer shots. I'm actually gonna try to land short of the pond and take the putt across, because there's a lot of guardian trees and a lot of bushes that are OB that your disc doesn't want to get through and drop out of bounds, and you risk taking a bogey. So if I land short, take the putt, I'm guaranteeing myself a putt for birdie. That one's better. Yeah, that's good. That should just be barely safe. That was a little bit too wide. As you can see, this wind is ripping. Super headwinds. It's a hard hole when it's not windy, let alone when you got a ripping headwind. So if it was this windy, I'd probably just play for par and move to the next hole, because there's a lot can go wrong. You can take a big number if you're not careful. All right, so I'm gonna play a couple shots from right here. I'm not gonna go too close to the water, because my ideal landing zone is about 20 or 30 feet short of the OB, just to make sure I'm safe. So I'm gonna play in this 20 or 30 foot circle, try to putt from here. And this is my safe play when it's super windy. We can still make birdie from back here, you know. Oh, but yeah, here's my landing zone. It takes away the out of bounds pond, because a lot of people trickle off this tree and drop OB. Now you're putting back here from 50 feet for par. I'd rather putt 50 feet for birdie on this challenging par 3. Yeah, this is a really good, well-designed par 3. As you see, with the pond and all the OB makes it a risk-reward shot where you can go for it, but you're risk taking a bogey. And I'd rather have the longer putt and play for the birdie. Less percentage for birdie, but also a higher percentage to get a par. And through a 4-round major, I'm not looking to get bogeys. I'm looking to be aggressive when I can, but also play smart when I know there's danger and tricky holes.
Okay.
All right, we got hole 12, 600 foot par 4. We got low ceiling. We got a very tight gap going kind of up a tunnel, and then it flattens out towards the top of the fairway and towards the green. But I'm gonna throw a forehand. It's a little bit too windy. Normally you're gonna see me throwing a roller, but with this wind, rollers don't play out too well. So I'm gonna go with the forehand, try to flex it down the gap and throw it about 400 to 430. That'll put me in a good landing zone, preferably on the right half of the fairway. 2 rives on this hole, both forehand, and see where the landing zone is up there, see if I can get into it. Yeah. That was really good. I like being on the right-hand side, like where that disc landed. That was really good. I'm gonna throw a little more. Try to land in that similar spot. Yeah, just like that. I like where both those landed. Yep, you want to fade and make sure to favor the right-hand side. It opens up the angle for the upshot coming into the green. I'm here, and I have a little bit of a low ceiling, which is the tricky part. This tree in the fairway makes it throw low, so what I'm naturally going to do is I'm going to get on a knee. Just opens up the gap a little bit if I'm a little bit lower to the ground. And the green up there has a pretty generous upslope, so you don't have to worry about speed control. You can kind of just blast it into the hill. See how this tree forces you naturally to throw too low. So I'm gonna throw another one, try to challenge the ceiling a little bit more. There we go, that was way better. So it should skip up there, yeah. So I should have a putt from there. But as you can see, this low hanging branch makes it hard to get that forward penetration without hitting this limb in front of you. So the second shot made me throw low, which made me throw about 60 feet short of basket where I wanted to. So in the future, I might throw a faster disc. I threw a felon on this one. And since you guys can see, there's a kind of a backstop all along the green. So you don't have to worry about blasting past. You just hit the hill and stop. So I'll definitely play that into account next time I'm playing this hole. But for now, I'll take some putts from right here. Ooh. So I'm just gonna settle for a par, but as you can see, that low hanging branch forced me to kind of go low, and I just settled for the par. All right, hole 13, 613 foot par 4, dog legs to the left. You would naturally think I'm gonna throw a backhand, but I feel like forehand through this tight narrow gap. I have a higher percentage of hitting the gap and skipping into the landing zone where I want to be. So I'm gonna throw a forehand drive down this gap, and even if I finish right, I'm okay. It opens up the gap for the second shot. So we'll throw kind of into this hill in front of us and try to get kind of a counter skip straight and to take me in the landing zone. And I'll throw some shots from there to show you how to access the green. That's right where I want to land. Threw it dead straight. Didn't hit the hill. Should have about a wide open 200 to 230 foot approach. Let's do one more. Same shot, a little bit further right, which is okay. Because the further right you go, the more it opens up that second shot dog leg left. I was able to navigate the drive, get through the tight narrow gap right off the tee. Takes me to the landing zone here, where we got potentially a backhand or a forehand, depending on which way the wind blows. That dictates what shot I'm going to throw. But I'm going to throw a forehand right now. Got a headwind, so I'm just going to go underneath this limb that this Y tree has, and just try to throw a soft felon shot. And try not to skip too much. There we go, that one's better. Should skip up there. Yeah. So that's really good. Right past that tree should be about 20 feet. The tricky part about this hole is the backside green that drops off. If you blow your upshot by, you're gonna go about 40 to 50 feet by. So I'd much rather play closer to circle's edge short to give myself that guaranteed birdie putt instead of going long and having a lower percentage birdie. So I'm gonna take my putt from about 30 feet short here and try to take some putts from my ideal landing zone. So there you go. Got a couple good putts in there, and now I kind of have a feel for how this putt feels when I have this wind condition. And then if I even throw it better, look, I even have a higher percentage birdie if I want that. All right, hole 14, 393 foot par 3 through a tight narrow gap, kind of finishes a little bit to the right. We got kind of an upslope behind the basket, so if anything, I want to try to keep that in mind. If I go long, I can hit the hill and drop and still have it inside the circle putt. So really hit the gap and then fade a little bit to the right. It probably plays 400 to 420, a little bit, maybe a little bit longer than the distance on the sign. Hit a little bit too high. So they actually changed this tee pad. It used to be down on the flat, now it's higher. So I just didn't take that into account. I threw it up too high. So this one I'm going to control my height a little better. I should be able to get down to the green. I'm going to try to focus on throwing down as we're going downhill. Yeah, there we go. That's so much better. So that one should be pretty much parked. As you notice, I threw down on that second one. I threw up on the downhill shot. So if I do that, it's naturally going to go way up in the air. So that's the difference I made. As you guys saw on that first one, I hit the limb that was high. And this is my first round here since last year. And so that little change with the elevated tee pad was something I didn't account for because I hadn't played this hole yet. So now throughout the week, I'll be able to account for that and lower my trajectory of my shot and be able to access the green a little bit more. So I'm learning as we go, and as the courses change a little bit every year, I'm paying attention to that and changing my game plan just a little bit.
Okay.
Good. All right, hole 14 here. I'm gonna once again stand at about 30 to 40 feet, take some putts from here, a little bit uphill. This is where I feel like I have the highest percentage of landing. So hopefully if I land there, I can do that and get the birdie. But yeah, slightly uphill. As you can see, the backstop behind it, I didn't reach that because it's kind of far to get there. But I know if I throw it too hard, I'm not going to be going in a pond or OB. I know there's a safe spot. So I'm taking that mental note in my head for when tournament time comes. All right, hole 15, we got 475 foot par 3 downhill. We got like a line of OB at about probably 400 feet that you got to clear with bushes and trees on each side. So probably the trickiest par 3 on the course. And you can either lay up short or go for it across the green. The go for it's tricky because if you miss the shot, turn it over, hyzer out at all, you're basically taking an automatic bogey. I like to lay up on this hole. This is the one par 3 that I feel like it can be a separator. If you mess it up, you can take a 4 or 5 pretty easily. So I'm gonna throw a couple short layups, and I'm also gonna go for it a couple times. Just practice both shots. So first, I'm gonna throw a layup with a dagger. Just kind of try to land it nice and safe down there. So that's kind of the layup spot, which that's a great shot. Try one more. I don't want to do too high, but. So I was trying to be a layup, I just got it too high in the air. I just want to throw it a little lower. I'm going to try a couple more go for it shots here. Turn. As you can see, I didn't throw a good go for it shot, but even if I'm not throwing it in the tournament, it's good to have that shot in the bag in case I need it coming down the stretch of the tournament. Yep. All right, so here's my short layup. If it's windy enough, this will be my play. If there's no wind, I can definitely go for it with like a fairway or mid-range. But I'm going to practice this one just so I have this in the bag if I need it for the tournament. So, try one more. There's a nice, soft, smooth putter shot for the upshot. So I'll just go dagger, dagger, and play for my 3. Or if it's not windy, I'll go for the aggressive shot with the fairway driver. All right, I'm going to putt a couple from here, about circle's edge, long left. Because this is a lot of times where if you throw a fairway driver or driver, they skip out to this range, so bounces. So yeah, got a lot of wind bounce on the putt, but as you can see, a lot of variables coming in to the green to where they can go wrong. I like to play for par and just try to get a par all 4 rounds, and minimize the damage on this par 3. All right, hole 16 is a 728 foot par 4 dogleg left OB. The entire drive, entire second shot, and potentially third shot if you lay up. So we got bunker hazard rule, meaning if you throw OB, you don't take a penalty, but you have to rethrow from the previous lie. So you can add up quick on this hole. I've seen tournaments lost on this hole, and you can also gain strokes with a birdie. But I'm gonna go ahead and start it off. I'm gonna throw the same drive, and then maybe lay up a couple and go for it a couple, and then pick the game plan I like from there. So I'm throwing enforcer. We got a big ripping left to right crosswind. So since we got the bunker hazard rule, I just want to focus on throwing it safe, somewhere down there towards that green tree, and somewhere hopefully in bounds. That looks great. I like that. So yeah, that's pretty much gold. Try one more. Pretty much the same spot. I can throw a little bit harder if I want to. Another pretty much the same shot. I like that a lot as well. So those 2 shots, throw a nice probably 70% enforcer. Only trying to throw it about 400 feet, let the wind kind of push it straight and just hold it. So I feel like the enforcer follows that fairway really well for me. All right, so my drive is in pretty much the exact spot I want it to be. Anything in this 30-foot circle is pretty much golden for me to be able to go for the drive or go for the second shot. I'm gonna shoot the distance. Looks like we got 290 to clear the hay bales, and we got about 330 to get once you go long of the green. So there's not that much space to land safe. So that's why the rangefinder for me is important. I'm gonna throw this felon. I know if I throw it nice and hard, I'm not gonna go long. I'm gonna focus on going pretty high and letting the speed come off of it and just fades nice softly on the green. I don't want to throw a penetrating shot on the green because then it's gonna want to skip out. So try to focus on the height and just try to get to the green, but then try to have a nice soft landing. This is a tricky approach. Oh, I think I hit the hay bales So I just barely crossed. So I'm gonna throw one more, try to throw a little harder. I still got on the green, but I got kind of lucky to skip over the hay bales. That one looks a little better. See how it's higher? Has time to sit once it gets to the green. That's really good. And that's what I want. I don't want to throw a low penetrating shot that's going to skip out. I'll throw a high shot that kind of is fading down and landing soft to try and have my best chance to hit the green. I'm also going to throw a couple layup shots because if it gets windy enough, I'm just going to lay up short. It's only a very short shot, but it makes my chances for par a lot better instead of potentially tin cupping from back here and taking a 8 or a 9 and ruining a tournament. So I'm gonna have this in my bag. Just a nice soft approach. Just get a feel for it. So I know that I can do that shot if it gets too windy and need to play for a par. Now I can go over there and kind of get a feel shot, dial in a feel for how far it is to get up and down from there. So if it's windy, I can lay up for par. If it's good conditions and I feel like I can attack at a high percentage, that's what I'm gonna do. So I got both game plans in my back pocket. So now from here, I'm just gonna throw a standstill slammer. It's only about 120 feet or so, and just try to focus on hitting that island. So really good. I'm gonna throw one more from this one, so I can get a feel for how my body's feeling to throw the shot when it's got this exact wind. So pretty good. So it brings us up to the green. As you can see, this line comes up quick. If you're throwing a shot and you get a skip, very likely you could be out of bounds. But this is a common spot to land, so I'm going to putt from here. Whether it's a par or a birdie, this is a common spot to land no matter what you're trying to get on the hole. So there, got the putt dialed, got the first shot, second shot, and potentially third shot entering the green if I want to play for par. This hole is important. It can add up strokes a lot because you have to rethrow from your previous lie. So I'm gonna have to make the game time decision. All right, hole 17 is a 459-foot par 3 downhill, the right to left sloping fairway and green. We got lots of wind and we got lots of OB. You really want to trust your line, trust your angle. I'm gonna go with the drive again, forehand, a little bit wide, got a right to left wind, so I'm not gonna be able to hang it out wide as I normally want to, because the wind's gonna naturally want to push it. So this hole, when it gets windy, par is a good score, as it is a lot out here on this course. I would say 10, 12 under is definitely attainable when it's no wind. But when there's wind, that drops down to 5, 6 under is a great round. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to throw a flex shot up the middle, let the wind carry my ride a little straight. So that's safe. Got an easy par from there. Now this one I'm going to try to attack the green a little bit more. Too much flex maybe? Yeah. So I threw that one with a little too much flex, hit the trees, but as you can see, it's touchy. If you turn it, the wind just turns it way over. If you hyzer it, it's hard to get that the perfect amount of turn. In the no wind situations, I like to go high, but too much wind, the wind is just going to push me OB every time. So I'm going to go with try to play for par on this one. Now we got the windy conditions, and make the adjustment in the tournament if we have less wind. So here's my drive. I landed about 70, 60 feet to the right of the basket with a death putt. This is definitely the type of hole and type of green where you tell yourself if you don't land inside the circle, you're probably not going to go for it, especially with this wind. So I would normally probably just lay this up, take the par, and walk away on this tricky hole. But right now, I'm going to try to go for it for you guys and try to make a long death putt. And as you see, I didn't make it and went straight out of bounds. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Got one in. So I have a 1 for 3% chance to make it, basically, and the other 2 is OB putting for bogey, maybe get a double bogey if I miss that. So you see the risk reward, and that's why I would just lay up in the tournament. But yeah, got to make game time decisions. Sometimes you need to make clutch up and make one long one down the stretch to win. Thank you. All right, hole 18, 698-foot par 4, dog leg to the right, lots of OB. This hole is all about placement. You want to throw it about 400, 430 down the middle. Set yourself up for an uphill hyzer into the green. I'm gonna go with my rives. We got a ripping right to left wind again. Super windy out here, as you guys can see. So I'm learning my discs and how they fly on this course in the wind, which is super important because if we have these conditions, I'll know what to refer back to on how to throw these holes. But I'm gonna try to throw this down the middle, a little bit of flex. My little bit more stable rive, because the wind's pushing this way, it's gonna keep it straighter. So that's what I'm paying attention to when I'm picking my disc as well. So throw it just left of this tree, flex it, try to land pretty much at that camera guy, a little bit right of him. It's pretty much ideal. Oh, that's a little bit early release there. So it's probably gonna be OB, yeah. So that's OB. I'm gonna flex this one a little bit more this time. So this one's way better shot this time. So right by the camera guy, almost hit him. There's another tree up there, so I might have went in that tree, but that was a pretty good shot. I'm gonna try it mid-range now. It's gonna ante into a crosswind, right to left crosswind like this is naturally gonna want to smash it down. So I'm gonna throw a little bit higher because the wind's gonna naturally want to smash it down. But let's see how this mid-range goes. Didn't get smashed too bad. Looks like a pretty good shot. So looks like those last two shots were good in an ideal spot. Throw a shot from there. We got some guardian trees up here in the fairway. They're like pine trees or something. And if you land in them or behind them, you're basically forced to automatically play for par. There's no scrambling. You can't get enough power to throw uphill towards the basket. So I got lucky on this one. And the other one, not lucky, but just I was able to place them in a spot because I know right where the trees are. I know the sweet spot and where I want to land. You either land short of this tree or long left of it to give you yourself an open shot into this green. So we got 311, 312, and naturally this hole probably plays about, I would say 20 to 30 feet uphill. So it's more like a 330 shot because of the uphill and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my felon for that distance. That seems like the good distance for the felon. So I'm gonna throw one felon from here and one felon from down there. All right, so let's do that. I like to start it almost at the European Open sign, and then I know this is obviously overstable enough, and the crosswind's going to push it back towards the basket. So my starting point is the European Open, and my finishing point hopefully is by the basket. Start there. Should skip up. Oh, got a huge skip. All right, so I got kind of lucky, hit off something, but so I didn't start it wide enough. As you saw, the wind just kind of pushed it. I'm gonna start a little wider because this crosswind is stronger than I thought. So now I know that. That's better. The wind's gonna give it time for the wind to push. And still threw it a little bit wide, but seemed to be safe. I'm gonna hit the boards up there. So I'm not really a result-oriented person. So if I hit that and roll back, it was still a bad shot. I just got lucky. So I'm definitely still need to make the improvement. I need to throw wide, especially when you got this crosswind, especially when you're going uphill, because when you go uphill, you're going to run out of speed quicker, and the wind's going to have time. When you run out of speed, the wind has more time to mess with it. So really got to pay attention to all that. All right, so as you guys saw on the first and second shot, I'm learning how much this wind is really affecting them. So I'm going to have to pick my aiming point almost like the European Open is probably 40, 50 feet right of the basket. I'm going to have to aim even farther, because once it dies uphill, it's really just loses all its speed and just goes way left. So I'm going to aim almost at the white flagpole there. White flagpole, see if that's a good aiming point. So that looked way better and less stable disc. So that looks like it's money. So I threw a less stable disc a little bit further right and let the wind play it back left. So now I know I'm taking mental notes on all these shots. So even if I'm not throwing a perfect shot like you guys have heard me before, I still got 3 more days of practice to make the adjustment and throw the right shot and drill that good shot muscle memory into my head. So this green's gotten even tighter over the years. It's a lot more OB, comes closer to the basket. Inside the circle is now out of bounds, it looks like. So super tight, narrow green. I think where I'm standing is kind of the sweet spot where a lot of people will land. And where I'm trying to land, I'm not trying to land too far over there towards the OB, but I think right here's where I'm gonna putt for now to get a feel for this. So, thank you guys for joining me for the European Open practice round 2023. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I can make some improvements on the bad shots. Keep keep the good shots coming, and have a great week. Thank you guys. Thanks Dynamic Disc for helping make this possible, and we'll see you guys next time.